After almost a decade since it was retired at TLC 2013, the World Heavyweight Championship is back. Well, sort of. Somebody stuck a giant logo over the front of this one. We thought we would take this opportunity to take a look at some outstanding matches for the previous incarnation of WWE's big gold belt. I'm Adam Pacitti from Cultaholic Wrestling, and these are 10 matches for the old World Heavyweight Championship you should check out. Join us! Number 10, Sheamus vs Daniel Bryan at Extreme Rules 2012. Daniel Bryan had a bone to pick with the new World Heavyweight Champion Sheamus after the Irishman dethroned the American Dragon in humiliating fashion at WrestleMania 28. And on the advice of my lawyers, that's all I'm going to say about that match. At the pay-per-view after WrestleMania, Extreme Rules 2012, Bryan and Sheamus faced off once again in a match that was given much more time. Over 76 times longer to be precise, but hey, who's counting? This 2 out of 3 falls rematch for the gold was a chance for both men to show off their considerable wrestling chops, and that's precisely what they did. Not only was the wrestling in this match fundamentally sound, but it also made great use of its stipulation. Bryan got himself intentionally DQ'd to lose the first fall, but also inflict greater pain on his opponent. Bryan submitting Sheamus via the yes lock set the stage for a tense final fall. The injured champion would valiantly fight back, retaining his prize with a thunderous brogue kick. It's almost as if this is the match they should have had at WrestleMania. What a novel idea that would have been. Number 9, Kurt Angle vs The Undertaker at No Way Out 2006. The Royal Rumble pay-per-view from 2006 wasn't headlined by the Rumble itself, but rather by a World Heavyweight title clash between champion Kurt Angle and challenger Mark Henry. Alright then. After Angle dispatched of the world's strongest man, he was interrupted by a returning Undertaker who rode out on a goddamn chariot. Just give him the belt already, he deserves it after that entrance. This set up a match between the two at the following month's No Way Out, and guess what? A match featuring 2 of the best wrestlers of all time was an absolute banger. The pair went back and forth for almost half an hour, with numerous near falls and set pieces to keep fans entertained. In the end, Angle rolled out of a primitive version of Hell's Gate to pin the dead man and just about hold on to his belt. The Olympic gold medalist would go on to defend the title in a triple threat at WrestleMania 22, whilst Undertaker's opponent for that show would be Mark Henry. Will you get out of here, Mark? Come back in 5 years when you're really good. Number 8, Christian vs Randy Orton at SummerSlam 2011. Christian's title victory at Extreme Rules 2011 very nearly made this list, purely for emotional reasons. After many long years toiling in the undercard and proving himself in TNA, Captain Charisma finally won his first WWE World Championship when he defeated Alberto Del Rio in a ladder match. Granted, this was only because his best mate Edge had been forced to retire while still champion, but a win is a win is a win, eh? The new champion was immediately thrust into a feud with Randy Orton, who promptly beat him for the belt on his first defense. Christian would win back the title off Orton after the Viper kicked him in the balls. No, really, that's what happened, setting the stage for this no DQ World Heavyweight title match at SummerSlam. As a veteran of plunder-based matches, the champion was more than capable of putting together a great no-holds-barred encounter. As for Orton, he was no slouch either. Orton would defeat Christian once and for all after a gnarly-looking RKO onto a set of steel steps. He would hold the belt for a month or so before losing it to Mark Henry. Well, I did say come back in 5 years when you're really good, I guess. Number 7, Edge vs Jeff Hardy at Extreme Rules 2009. 2 years before Christian and Del Rio had their ladder match at Extreme Rules, 2 of the Canadians' best buddies also tore the house down in the same stipulation bout. Jeff Hardy had been beefing with World Heavyweight Champion Edge for the past few months, and now the two would settle the score in extreme fashion. As you would expect from 2 men who made careers putting their body through unimaginable pain, Edge and Hardy left nothing in the tank during this brutal ladder match. Whilst nobody speared anybody from 20 feet in the air this time around, the 2 men did smack each other with ladders, use ladders in submission holds, push each other off ladders. Basically, if there was a ladder lying around, it was going directly into somebody's face. In the end, Hardy outwitted his opponent to win the big gold belt for the first time in his career. Unfortunately though, the good times weren't to last for the charismatic enigma as he lost the belt just moments later. What happened, I hear you ask? Well, you'll just have to watch on to find out. Number 6, Batista vs Triple H at Vengeance 2005. At WrestleMania 21, a young Batista finally ended Triple H's reign of terror by defeating him for the World Heavyweight Championship. Don't get your hopes up though, we all saw what happened to Randy Orton in 2004. Wait a second, Triple H just put over Batista again at Backlash? Maybe this time we're actually onto something. The real test would come at Vengeance, where the two men would square off for a third and final time inside Hell in a Cell. As Triple H repeatedly reminded the champion, this was a match that Batista had never been in and that his challenger had never lost. Surely this was the end of the road for Drax the Destroyer. After a bloody, brutal affair, the champion hit an emphatic Batista bomb to finally put his former mentor down for good. This win came after possibly his best match to that point, as he and Trips had one of the better cell matches of all time. Oh, I'm just so glad that Triple H didn't just bury Batista here and win the title back. Maybe he'll stay out of the world title pit. Oh, wait, he's WWE champion again. Never mind. Number 5, the Elimination Chamber at Survivor Series 2002. Just how did WWE crown the first ever World Heavyweight Champion? A grueling tournament? A massive battle royal? An actual fight to the death? Nope. Eric Bischoff just got the old WCW belt out of his attic and gave it to Triple H. Boo. The way in which the second ever holder of the belt was crowned was much better. At Survivor Series 2002, Triple H was made to defend his precious prop in the inaugural Elimination Chamber match. Another idea of Uncle Eric's, although I doubt this would have fit in his loft, the game was going up against a field of 5 challengers: Booker T, Chris Jericho, Kane, Rob Van Dam, and Shawn Michaels. The debut chamber match still holds up as one of the best, as all 6 men made excellent use of their new environment. Tripp survived all the way to the end, despite RVD crushing his windpipe with a botched frog splash. The King of Kings wasn't strong enough to overcome the Heartbreak Kid though, as Michaels pinned his former friend to pick up his first World Championship in 4 years. Nice work, Hunter. Now please see a doctor. Number 4, Jeff Hardy vs CM Punk at SummerSlam 2009. Cast your minds back to about 2 minutes ago when we told you about Jeff Hardy beating Edge at Extreme Rules 2009. Well, about 30 seconds after that, CM Punk ran out, cashed in Money in the Bank, and left Hardy with nothing. Classic Phil. This started one of the feuds of the year between Punk and Hardy, as the two men's contrasting real-life personalities fed into a heated on-screen storyline. It all led to SummerSlam, which the pair closed out in a sensational TLC match for the World Heavyweight Championship. Both men went hell for leather, throwing caution to the wind in the name of our entertainment. Hardy even hit a swanton bomb onto Punk through the announce table off the top of a ladder that was at least 2,000 feet tall. I'm not even exaggerating, I promise. The devilish Punk eked out a win, but the real winners were the fans in attendance who got to watch 2 of the best in their field put on a spectacle for the ages. Number 3, Chris Benoit vs Triple H vs Shawn Michaels at Backlash 2004. You may have been expecting us to pick this trio's outstanding main event match from WrestleMania 20, but we thought we would shine a spotlight on this underrated gem instead. 1 month after Chris Benoit shockingly beats Triple H and Shawn Michaels to pick up the World Heavyweight Championship, WWE decided to just run the match back again at Backlash. Well, if it ain't broke, Benoit was now the defending champion instead of the chasing challenger, which was just enough variety to stop this match from treading on its predecessor's toes. Although they could have just done the exact same match again and nobody would have cared because it was class. The sheer quality of everyone involved meant that this bout was guaranteed to be a success. The rabid Wolverine's hometown fans were well behind him as champion and were thrilled to see him submit HBK to retain the gold after another hard-fought contest. Number 2, Edge vs The Undertaker at WrestleMania 24. With the exception of the triple threat from 20, the best match for the World Heavyweight Championship from a WrestleMania has to be the time Edge and The Undertaker closed out 24. There wasn't too much of a storyline going into this match, just that Edge feared the streak and Taker wanted to win the world title off him. But to be honest, it didn't really need to be any more complicated than that. The two ex-Ministry members let their wrestling tell the story as they put on an all-timer in front of the Orlando crowd. Edge tried everything in the book, and some stuff not even in it, to put his opponent away, and at times, it genuinely felt like he might be the one to bring the undefeated run to an end. Thankfully though, for Taker, the Phenom found a way to survive and submitted Edge with the Hell's Gate to extend his streak to 16. This was a match that more than lived up to the big fight feel moniker that WWE loves to plaster all over their major matches. Also, it gave us the image of Charles Robinson running down to the ring like he was in Looney Tunes, which is worth at least an extra star and a half. Number 1, Chris Jericho versus Shawn Michaels at No Mercy 2008. In 2003, Shawn Michaels and Chris Jericho had an amazing feud. 5 years later, WWE looked at the two men and went, "Can you just do that again, please?" After months of barbed comments, unsanctioned matches, and accidental wife punching, Jericho and Michaels squared off for Y2J's World Heavyweight Championship at No Mercy 2008. Incidentally, this was also a ladder match. Turns out the best way to have a good World Heavyweight title match was to raid a hardware store the day before. This was far from the most violent ladder match in WWE history, nor was it the craziest in terms of spots. The beauty of this match lies in its narrative, which was told by two of the best storytellers the wrestling business has ever seen. So much of the feud leading up to this match was represented in the action, as Jericho dug deep into his arsenal to fend off his esteemed challenger. The champion retained in the end, but both men could be proud of the fact that they had just put on one of the best world title matches in the company's history. All it needed was Charles Robinson attempting to break the 300-meter world record. Then it would have been perfect.